Hi folks, I'm going to show you basically how easy it's going to be to get your classes set up at the beginning of the year. If you can get your timetable program, and we certainly know we can do this with ASC, and that's part of why we having the demonstration with regards to ASC, but it's not impossible that any timetable program could produce the following sheet of sorts. But basically, you can produce an Excel sheet from your timetable program that looks something like this. Just to roughly interpret, each teacher is given a code in the timetable program. There's your class, and there's the class name is the grade and the code of that teacher. There's the grade separately. And here is the subject, which is basically the subject short. You don't really have to worry too much about these columns, but essentially this is what it would spit out. So all we need to do in FrontOFFICE is basically match up the teacher and the subject, and the grade is self-explanatory. So basically in FrontOFFICE, what you're going to have to make sure of is that your teachers have been given, and this field has actually been sitting in the teachers in the staff records for a long time. But if I was to go to datasheet view, for instance, and I've pulled this column across here and assigned timetable codes to each of these teachers. In this case, this particular school, when they set up the timetable, they use basically the initials of the timetable, or slight variation thereof if teachers have the same initials. And then, as I say, the timetable program spits this out, and I'm sure Tim on Saturday is going to show you how to get it to produce this sheet. Right, so now FrontOFFICE knows the timetable code for the teacher. Now it's the other thing then to make sure is that the subject shorts that you use when setting up the timetable program are the same as the subject shorts that you've set up in FrontOFFICE. So you might want to go through FrontOFFICE and adjust your subject shorts slightly, but I would say obviously the smarter approach is to use the subject shorts in the timetable program when setting up that you use in FrontOFFICE. Okay. They're pretty much standard as well, so most people tend to have the same, but as I say, you wouldn't need to change anything if you just use those subject shorts when setting up in the timetable program. Now basically I'm going to show you a sort of straight copy and paste of what I then did was I then pulled that Excel sheet in. Now, I've already done it, but I'm going to do it again just to show you what it would be like. And obviously, come closer to the time, we'll have slightly better notes on this. But right, if I was to let's just tell this thing that we're going to import an Excel file. All right. I'm going to go to where I saved it here. It's this one here. I'm going to say open, and there's actually a few tabs on this. We're going to use the first one called lessons. Next, first row contains headings. You can see that first row there it's got the headings. Next, you don't have to worry about any of that. I'm going to choose my own primary key, and I'm going to make it that first column. Also not that important. And we'll call this lessons 1 because I've already got lessons in there, so not to disturb that, just to show you. Alright, and close, and it's pulled in the lessons. I'll show you the one that I pulled in. Okay, so what that did basically is that has now essentially pulled the classes in that you've created from the timetable program. So I was then able to create a query, and as I say, what we can do in time is we can have this this automated, but it is a very simple step. I mean, certainly compared to entering all the classes in one by one, which you're used to doing every year. If I double click this and open it now, what I've actually done is I've set up the columns that I'm going to need to import into my classes table. Now if I go to my classes table, you'll see here that there's actually nothing in here. Okay, now I'm going to be copying and pasting this straight into the classes table itself, so I'm not dealing with teachers' names and things. I'm actually dealing with their numbers. You'll see there's a couple of gaps in this case, but that's just the example of this particular school. I didn't have all the teachers entered that actually were on their timetable, but you obviously would have that. So I'm going to copy the teacher ID, the subject, the class, the grade, and you have to put a weighting in when you put a class in. So I've just put a default of 18, but you won't need to worry about that. We'll worry about that closer to the time. But essentially you can see that your weights table, which has all your different weightings in that you normally choose, has each of them's got an ID, and in this particular case I'm just going to make it default to the first one, and they can be changed later on. It's just to get the data into the table. And the first one carried an ID of 18, so I just hard-coded 18 in to this query. So now we have the 5 essential tables that we need to pull into the database. It's going to have the teacher ID, so it'll know who the teacher is. The subject number, it'll know the subject. It's going to call the class 8MY, and it's going to default to that weighting. So we simply copy that, say yes to keep that copy on the clipboard, and we open the classes, and I highlight teacher ID, subject number, class, grade, and weight ID. It'll generate its own class IDs, and we click paste, and to show you that all the classes are in now, I go to set classes, and bang, there are all your classes in for the year. Boom. Take that. For those of you who are not able to attend the demonstration on Saturday, as I say, if we will release more notes in the beginning of next year with regards to this, but we only have had experience producing this type of Excel sheet, for example, from ASC Timetable, so I wouldn't be 100% sure how to do it from other timetable programs. So that concludes this demonstration on pulling classes into FrontOFFICE quite simply from ASC Timetable. Incidentally, we enough schools come on board, and the more that use it, ASC have also got options to be able to link up with other third-party providers. So in actual fact, we could have a FrontOFFICE import-export option in ASC itself, and it looks very likely like we may be able to head in that direction fairly soon.